in your e-commerce store. The first thing you absolutely need to do is you need to understand your numbers. And really, this is helpful to create realistic targets. So, by numbers, what do I mean by that? It's a couple things. So, one, what is your marketing budget? So many times, stores and brands come to us like, oh, what do you think our marketing budget should be? It's like, well, it really depends on your goal. And if you're launching a store from scratch, you should probably have some type of a monthly marketing budget in place, earmarked specifically for that. So definitely know your marketing budget. Just as important, if not even more important, is understanding your margin by product and category. This is critical because if you're going to be advertising specific products or categories, push on the products or categories where you're actually making money. Don't push on the products or categories that have very thin margin. And it's really helpful just to take a moment and go through this exercise by really understanding what those margins are. A couple other things that's super helpful is understanding what the lifetime value is. This is really important because let's say you're advertising and you're at break even or 2 return on ad spend. Well, that's all fine and dandy to start, but once you start to factor in your lifetime value, the numbers can quickly shift in your favor, and you might be a little bit more bullish on investing in advertising, knowing that, yes, you're going to make your money back on that initial sale, but there's subsequent sales to follow. A couple other things, average order value, super, super, super important. Average order value can really swing the pendulum into profitability significantly. So if your average order value is relatively low, or maybe you don't even know if it's low because you're pretty new to this, what you want to do is just benchmark what your average order value is and think of how can you increase that average order value, which will help boost up profitability. And then also understand what your conversion rates are, and also conversion rate by product category. All products aren't the same, all categories aren't the same, and once you start to get a good understanding of, wow, people really buy a lot of these products, our margins are really good, and our conversion rates are really good, that's really helpful to focus on them. And as you can see on the slide, why? It's really helpful to set realistic return on ad spend targets, really helpful for forecasts. Now, forecasts are just really much best guess assumptions, but helpful to at least forecast it, and then when you're live, you can see how you're doing against these forecasts. And also, as I mentioned, know which products and categories to focus on. So there's a couple numbers here that I would absolutely recommend everyone to follow. But, Cece, I'll kind of throw it your way just because I feel like you live and breathe in the numbers all the time. Any additional thoughts to share right here?
Yeah, no, I think these numbers, like, this is the basic. Why we think about these numbers is your account structure, your campaign structure should reflect all of this information, should reflect your business stage as an advertiser. So for example, as you mentioned, knowing your margin by product category will help you know and understand, okay, how many campaigns should I have? Or for example, going for shopping, how many shopping campaigns should I have? How many PMAX campaigns? How should I structure those campaigns? Because you can add ad groups and asset groups. So having all of this information can help you build that structure that will help you, that will reflect your business model and your business in the current situation. That's kind of how, if you're starting from scratch, you need to understand, okay, I need to know these numbers to understand how I can build my campaign structure to help boost my business in the moment that I am. And one question I have for you, because I mean, if I'm starting a business, I have no sales, nothing. What should I do? Because I do not know margins. Well, I could know margins because I do have the costs, but I don't know the lifetime value, the frequency, the average order value. I don't have all that data. What should I do, Ben? What do you think is the best thing to do?
Yeah, really good, really great question. Obviously, if you have an e-commerce store and you haven't advertised it, but you have some of these metrics, plug those in. But if you're brand new, the best that you can do is just look online for industry benchmarks to fill that in. So for example, conversion rate. You can just do some quick Google searches of average conversion rate for e-commerce. Now, when you are putting these in industry averages, be very conservative. If you have a brand new e-commerce store, chances are the conversion rate isn't going to be that great because you're just launching and learning. You don't know how the products are going to perform. You don't know how the landing page is going to perform. You probably don't have a strong retention play. But I would just say look at third-party sources just for benchmarks, and then once you actually get real data coming through, then you can go back and revisit your forecast and plug in with real numbers and then see how that changes the model, and then always strive to improve, frankly, a lot of these numbers, such as average order value. How can you increase that? Your conversion rate, how can you increase that? Your lifetime value, how can you increase that? So to start, assumptions and industry benchmarks, and once you get data, replace it with your existing data.
Yeah, that's an important thing you mentioned. This is kind of a picture. The average order value, the conversion rates, it's a moving thing. You need to not only know at the moment that you are launching campaigns, but also keep that refreshed. Like it's not going to be always like, for example, if you have seasonalities, the conversion rate would not be the same one during high season versus low season. So kind of just, it's know your numbers, not just one shot thing. It's always, you should always be aware of these metrics, these key metrics, because these should guide your campaign structures and your performance and how we are going to set up bids and strategies.
Absolutely. The worst thing that you can do if you have an e-commerce store with, let's say, 50 products or 100 or 500 is like, oh, I just want to market them all. And that is not the right answer, because margins are going to vary and conversion rates are going to vary. But obviously, if anyone is dealing with that, contact Rise. We can certainly help out there. Let's go on to the next key tip of critical thing to have before you start really marketing and advertising your e-commerce store. And at Rise, we are an absolute stickler to this. Measurement is key. It is absolutely required. I tell every client, pretty much since I've been doing advertising back in the mid-2000s, do not spend a dime unless if you have measurement. Now, people often want to just jump the gun of like, oh, I got this great e-commerce store, or I think it's going to be great. Let's just start ads without setting up proper measurement. But in that case, you're just driving people to your site, but you're not going to learn anything from it. So you want to set up proper measurement, and you want to do it in really multiple ways. You want to work with the ad platform. So let's say you're going to advertise on Google Ads, set up the Google Ads pixel. If you're advertising on Meta, set up the Meta pixel. And also, you want to have an analytics platform such as Google Analytics, which is free, that will give you more of like a holistic 360 look of all your traffic sources and how each of these channels behave, because what Google is going to report is going to be very different from what Google Analytics reports, and it's going to be very different from Meta. And you really want to take a look at all these three combined just to really understand what are the channels and what are the campaigns in those channels that are driving most of that business impact. But yeah, Cece, any additional thoughts on measurement?
I would add understanding why measurement is the key. If we are going to build an e-com account, we are going to push for purchases, but there are a lot of different steps before add to cart, view items, etc. So having a clear measurement, understanding, like if you need to understand each step so that you can track the customer journey. Also, making sure all the platforms are receiving correct and accurate data. Why? Because they are going to learn from that data and optimize. Machine learning is going to optimize with those learnings. So if you do not have the measurement in the correct spot, you're going to mess up with your campaigns. You're not going to get to your goals. And another important thing is, one thing when you do have a super high level of ad spam, you may want to think about third-party data platforms like Hero, Cometly, Triple Whale. Those are why, the reason why is, as you might know, Google Ads, Meta, Google Analytics all have different attribution models, and you might see discrepancies between conversions attributed to one campaign to another one, or to one channel and to the other one. One way to reduce that noise is to have a third-party platform. So if you do have an ad spend that is a high ad spend, monthly ad spend, you can start thinking about having that other platform to rely on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're just starting from scratch, get the basics: the Google Ads Pixel, Google Analytics, and Meta. And one of the things that you're going to start to see, and then maybe this is a note for maybe slightly more sophisticated advertisers, is setting up. And this is specifically for Meta, the conversion API, which kind of opens up that direct signals from Meta to your website to speak to each other, because cookies, unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever side of the pendulum you're on, is going to eventually go away. And just having that first-party data and collection is super helpful. And also for Google Ads, set up enhanced conversion, which all it really does is just pass first-party data back and forth to get a better understanding of who is converting and who is not. So measurement's key. Set this up before you start marketing your e-commerce store. Next, I love this one because it's so often overlooked, is branded presence. This is so incredibly important. If you have an e-commerce store and you're all excited to launch, but then you launch, but you don't have your social channels set up, big no-no. Tons of studies out there. One of the more recent ones says 48% of shoppers will check a brand's social media presence before confirming a purchase. And this totally makes sense. If they see something, let's say on Instagram or Google, yeah, Instagram says that they're really good, or maybe their ad says they're really good, but they want to check out the social channels to take a look at their post activity, their followers, and their customer comments. If there's a new e-commerce brand and they're promoting it and someone's like, okay, cool, let me check out their social, and they just have a Instagram account with one post or a couple posts and the comments aren't really that positive or the activity is really low, that trust factor just plummeted down big time. So, organic social is a very interesting aspect of marketing. The return on investment is very hard to quantify, but honestly, this day and age, it's really the cost of doing business. You have to be present social, just because people will now go to your social almost in lieu of or in addition to looking at your website, just to make sure of like, okay, love this t-shirt, but I just want to make sure that this is a real company, and that's just how people interact with that. And Cece, I'm sure you see this all the time.
Yeah, definitely. You can see when the brand has a strong presence in social media, it helps a lot with conversion rate. You also see social organic traffic coming. Definitely. Every time I'm looking for something to buy, it's not just Googling. I also go into the Instagram account to check comments in the posts, also to see reviews in Google. I do kind of my research. Curious about your research, Ben. What social media do you usually check on?
Oh yeah, no, totally. Yeah, anytime, if I get some ads on social or whatever, check out their Instagram. And I learned this because I was burned in the past. I was burned by, kind of funny story. My wife and I, we saw this cooler. It was called the Coolest Cooler, and they had like a blender and lights and all this cool stuff. It was like some Kickstarter campaign. We're like, oh my gosh, we need the Coolest Cooler. It'll be the best thing ever. Dropped $200 on it, and we never got the cooler. And we actually had a fight for them for our money back. But then after the fact, after we gave them money and then we didn't receive it, then also we checked their Instagram and see all these comments of like, stay away, this isn't a legit brand. We did eventually get our money back. We didn't get the Coolest Cooler. It's definitely not the Coolest Cooler. But I learned from that experience, and now if there's any new brand out there, or even a new product of an existing brand I know, I'm going to be checking out their socials just to make sure, like, due diligence, okay, yep, it is what I was hoping it would be. So make sure you have your social channels. Where should you be on social? Wherever you think your audience is. You don't have to be on every social channels, otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy. But focus on the top 2 or 3 where you know your customers are, and just start off with that. And again, cost of doing business, you have to be there.
Definitely. Funny story.
I know, true story, unfortunately, but we recovered. Next, and Cece, you are very privy to this, is you need to have solid product page UX. Now, super interesting, like 10 years ago, if you're doing e-commerce, you could probably have the worst landing pages ever, just like an image, a little description, And people would buy just because they're just comparing it against everyone else, and everyone else has just had lackluster experiences. Not the case anymore. When you drive someone to a product page, you have to sell them. You can't think that the product, just seeing a product image and a description is going to sell them. It's definitely not. So actually, Cece, I'm going to pass it over to you if you don't mind just kind of talking about some of the main things that you look for in a product page.
Yeah, before that, I need to mention I'm a strong advocate about product page optimization because I see huge changes when you really put some effort in here. You change a small percentage of the conversion rate, and even if you're driving the same amount of traffic, you're spending the same amount. If you change that little metric, you will see your e-com store grow. And on the other hand, when you have website issues, something broke or there's a different color in the button, that detail thing can change the conversion rate and your sales might drop. So it's not always about, hey, my campaigns are not performing. Sometimes it's the website that needs some more work. So going in here, title should reflect the item that you're trying to sell, be the more descriptive possible, not just, I know that some brands want to put some fancy and funny names on their items because it's represents something for them, but when a user that comes from the outside reads that and it doesn't represent anything, kind of, I don't know what this is. So the title is your main thing. Use keywords, use attributes, have a unique descriptions, like try to tackle the pain points, the main pain points. If you know the frequent asked questions, try to use your description to just let the user know at the first sight they're going to cover all of those main concerns. Testimonials, oh gosh, those reviews you can see even in performance campaigns. Adding the reviews on your shopping carts that changes conversion rates a lot. It's kind of the same thing as having a branded social presence. It's something where you can find, like, I don't buy anything before reading reviews. I need to make sure that what I'm going to buy has been used, has been proven, users are happy. And even I usually go back to see the bad reviews to see, okay, why people are saying it's not the best item, so that I can understand if it's going to hurt me or not. But those testimonials are key points to to promote the action or to not. So if I go to a product page that doesn't have any testimonials, I might go close the window and go to another platform, maybe search reviews on another platform, but I'm not there on your website. I just closed your website, so you will have to give me another ad, another remarketing. I have to Google again to go to your website again. So that's the importance of having the testimonials there. And frequent asked questions, again, the descriptions, you can't add everything on your description, so make sure you add all of the rest points in the frequent asked questions. It's kind of helping the user, educating the user, giving them all the information they need to buy, so that you don't need to shorten that journey, so that you don't need to keep creating new touch points to conversion. That's kind of course, you need to test on your specific item what works, what's the best distribution between the image, what's the best image, if I should use a blank background, if I should use a lifestyle background, if I should use a carousel. There are a lot of things that you can change. The best thing to understand what works for you is experimenting. Do not change everything at once. For example, if you want to experiment with the image, you can change the image, try for 14 days, see how your conversion rate changes. If that works or not, you can switch back and then keep testing other things. But definitely, I will always try and push for keep working on product page optimization. And I could keep talking and talking about this so bad.
Oh man. Yeah, no, it's true. And that is just how important product page optimization is. And never just set it and forget it. Even if your conversion rate's decent, let's say your industry average 2.5 or more, and you're like, oh, this product page is good, I'm converting. And then you get distracted and you just focus on your campaigns a little bit too much, always be focusing on your product page. Because if you just increment that conversion rate increase it by 10% or 20%, that changes the whole financial dynamics of your ad campaigns, where it would go from decently profitable to insanely profitable. So just always be testing, and you don't have to test site-wide. Pick one product page and really fine-tune that, and then once you get that down, scale that out for the other product pages. But super important. Email marketing. And I know I'm throwing a lot at e-commerce brands right now, but everything that we share right here is going to set up your e-commerce store for success. So when you really start driving traffic, you're going to maximize the amount of orders that you're getting. Why is email marketing so important? 96 to 98% of site visitors won't immediately convert. Now, so what that means is you're paying Google and you're paying Facebook to buy all this traffic to your site, but the majority of them are just going to say, thanks, but not right now. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not interested. They're just not interested in converting right now. And really what you want to do is you got to capture their information and start to build up that relationship with email marketing. Now, how do you do that? A couple ways to do about it. One, first, definitely set up automated emails. We're a huge fan of this. So anyone who, let's say, started that checkout process, their email is saved, but they abandoned, set up automated emails, a couple emails just to remind them of the order, maybe give them free shipping, 10% off, whatever it is, and you will recover some of those sales. Also, for anyone who purchases, do some thank you emails. Maybe give them a promo for their next purchase or a referral or something like that. You're going to get incremental sales from that. Additionally, outside of automated emails, and there's even more that we could add here, is newsletters. Communicate with your audience at least monthly. Could just be a company update, product update. E-commerce, generally emails way more than monthly, but if you're just getting started, at least do monthly, bi-weekly better, weekly even better than that. But whenever you email, just make sure that it is with purpose and drives some real value, not just trying to get them to buy without providing anything of substance. Within your newsletters, sales, always good. I feel like there's a sale every month or a holiday period that you can advocate and promote for. And then also new product launches. But the key is with email marketing, capture those emails. Capture them through your site. We can definitely support out with that. And once you get their email, you can communicate them for pretty much indefinitely until they unsubscribe for you. And what we see from email marketing, it's probably going to be your most efficient marketing channel because they already raised their hand, they're already interested, they already transacted. All you have to do is communicate with them, and then they're going to be pop-up. Your brand's going to be top of mind, and then they're going to start to transact with you. But definitely set up email marketing. Cece, any additional thoughts there?
I would add one more automatic email, at least the welcome series. Like when you ask them to subscribe to your email, it's not just, okay, thank you. You can build a funnel, a flow with emails that can give more information about you, about your items. For example, if you have your story tool, like that kind of information that builds relationship. That's the reason why behind the welcome series. Just let the user know who you are, what your product is, which are your values, what's your value proposition versus your competitors. Start building relationships since day one. I would add definitely email marketing is one of the more biggest channels to support paid media, because usually what we see, and you might also be seeing on your e-com accounts, is that user needs more than one touch point to get to the conversion. 96% visitors don't convert in the first touch points. Why? Because they need to do some more research, because they are also considering your competitors' products. So email marketing is a big support from paid media. They both work together. One important thing is that you are going to see a lot of attributed conversions to email, but also know that paid campaigns are the ones that are bringing the upper funnel. So kind of start thinking about paid channels and email as all of an ecosystem, and they need to work together. If you lack efforts on one, you will see the other one start struggling. Yeah.
Absolutely, and email marketing is even more important for any high value ticket items, where they really need to understand all the nuances of it before they shell out a couple $100 or 1,000 or thousands to really get them into that. But email marketing, it's a free program. All you have to do is pay a small fee to MailChimp and just do some effort of communicate and set up the automated emails. But this day and age, it's very easy to set this up, and if anyone needs to outsource this, we can definitely set this up for them. A couple other things that, again, must-haves that you should set up before you really start promoting your e-commerce store. The next one is Google Merchant Center. So hopefully most e-commerce marketers that are listening to this is aware of what Google Merchant Center is, and for those who are not, Google Merchant Center is just, it's a Google property where you can upload all of your product information. And with that, then you can be present within shopping.google.com, which is Google's shopping platform, which they really push to compete against Amazon. And you want to have a Google Merchant Center account because, one, you can show your products for free. Google opened up free listings about 2 years ago. And also, it opens up the opportunity to showcase shopping ads, which are super important. So if you do, let's say, a search for Nike kicks or Nike shoes on Google, all the top ads, they're not standard text ads, they're shopping ads where they show the image, the headline, the description, the price point. And since Google, you pay for a click, it generally works really well because the user can see all these attributes before they even click. So it's almost like pre-screening irrelevant clicks, and we see a ton of great success from Google Shopping and specifically Google Shopping ads. But you need to have Google Merchant Center, and you need to have an optimized product feed. Exactly, CC, you took the words out of my mouth. We actually had an in-depth webinar on a product feed optimization. Anyone who's listening to this segment, go deeper into our YouTube channel. This is going to be a lot of great information for you. But CC, high level, what should they be looking at within Google Merchant Center?
First off, make sure your main course setup is correctly. What I mean with that is check on your shipping setups, the return, everything, taxes. Why? Because we usually see that e-com brands just sync Shopify or WooCommerce to Merchant Center and do not take the time to double check that everything is correctly labeled. And sometimes, for example, you can see weird shipping costs just because it was incorrectly uploaded the weight of the item. And for example, so the main idea here is just make sure all of the things are looking good on the general setup. And then start optimizing your items catalog. What that means is take a look at the titles. Do they have the keywords? Are they showing attributes? Add ratings and reviews if you can. Take a look at descriptions. You can add product highlights. You can do a lot of things to stand apart from your competitors. You can see here in this screenshot, like you're just searching shoes and Nike shoes, and you have a lot of different options. So, and some of them are kind of pretty similar or the same shoe. So which store am I going to buy from? Will definitely be because the decisions will be made because of price, because of reviews, because of I'm seeing the size 5 there and I'm a 5, so I'm gonna click there because I know that they have my specific size, so I'm gonna click there because I'm not, for example, for the other one that says 11.5, it's not for me, so I'm not gonna click there. So try to add all of these attributes to your titles and try to think on how would the user be searching for your specific item. If you just use Nike shoe, it's not going to say anything.
Definitely, yeah. take time to do product feed optimization. You can't just export Shopify product feed to Google. Well, you can, but it's not going to be optimized to align with search and really put your products in the best light. Hire someone to just do that product feed optimization. Obviously, we can support with that, but that will pretty much make or break any type of shopping campaigns on Google. But set up Google Merchant Center, get that product feed optimized, and you're going to be in an excellent spot. And
I have a question for you, Ben.
Yeah.
Would you rather click on an ad that has a lifestyle image or a blank background?
Ooh,
Why?
good question.
There's been a lot of experimenting about that. That's the reason why I'm asking.
Yeah, I believe I'd probably do a lifestyle picture just because it kind of puts you in that mindset. So let's say I'm going on vacation, I'm looking at swimsuits, I want to see, like, you see someone on the beach, it automatically puts you in that mindset. But I really don't know. I'll have to keep track of that. Any early reads on what generally works well?
There's no a specific answer about that. You need to experiment. Again, everything in e-com is about experimenting. You can actually try an A/B test with different items, or even if with the same item you change, you can switch the picture to be shown and see how conversion rate is affected. Make sure you're not testing with your best seller during the high season, because then you're going to ruin your performance. Just choose the not best seller, maybe, and not the high season. But again, everything is about experimenting. Try with white background, try with lifestyle, same with titles, same with description. You can test everything. And Merchant Center feed optimization, and even not feed optimization, Merchant Center setup should be reviewed at least weekly, just because we have seen a lot that suddenly something breaks and products are rejected, the shipping label has changed and it's not accurate. So you need to go and check your Merchant Center. Your e-com performance is going to depend a lot on this platform. So it's more important, not more important, but almost more important that checking on the Google Ads platform, checking on the Merchant Center platform. Just make sure you have everything how it should be.
Absolutely. Yeah, can't stress that enough. And then for our last tip of what you should do before you start really advertising is make sure you have a diversified marketing program. Just do not put all your eggs in one basket. You're going to be shortchanging yourselves. What we recommend for a lot of e-commerce advertisers is test multiple platforms, specifically Google, Facebook, Instagram. And because every e-commerce brand is different. Some e-commerce brands, Google is going to outperform Meta. And we have examples in our current roster where Google outperforms Meta by a long shot. Alternatively, there are e-commerce stores where Meta just can outperform Google for whatever reason. Maybe just because it's more visual in nature, more social in nature, or maybe it's just a very unique and new product that just leans itself nicely into Meta. But every e-commerce store should have a diversified marketing program. What you should do is maybe even to start, split budget evenly. Google, primarily focusing on shopping, and then Meta, split that in half, and then see let the data tell you. And let's get back to our slide earlier about measurement. Let the data tell you what's working and what's not working. And then within each of these platforms, you're going to see some great campaigns and some underperforming campaigns, but don't make this mistake of just starting on Meta, and don't make the mistake of just starting on Google. Have a diversified marketing platform. Cece, any additional thoughts right there?
Yeah, I would also add Bing. Bing has been doing a lot of different updates lately, and it's performing. You can see performance has changed significantly from past years. Definitely think about maybe just not. It's. I think that this is about online ecosystem all channels work together. Again, I keep repeating this same thing, but for me, this is kind of the key point. Sometimes you see Google Ads performing with a super high ROAS, but Meta is doing, could be better. But then when you pause Meta, you see Google starting falling apart. Why? Because you had one campaign on Meta that was building an upper funnel or the mid funnel or even helping with remarketing, and you paused that because you thought that it was not working. But it was because you didn't take the time to go to see, okay, what's the customer journey? How many touch points to conversions do I have? What's the window to conversion? What's what's the campaign that's bringing me the upper funnel and the mid funnel and the low funnel? Kind of try to understand everything and know that channels work together. It's not about competing. It's not a competition. What works best? Google Ads, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, Bing, TikTok. It's not a competition. Everything works together. Be mindful about that.
Always. Yep. And we have past webinars that just go right into that exact concept of no channel acts alone in its own silo. Everything influences each other. And as you continue to grow, access to more platforms, more people, they see you, trust builds, and just everything works pretty well. So yeah, that's pretty much all that we had for today. Again, these are 7 must-have things to do before you start advertising on e-commerce. And if you are already advertising, take a look at this content. Maybe you're missing a couple of elements of these that you may want to revisit. As always, if anyone is interested in chatting, contact us. Happy to have a free consultation to see how we can grow your e-commerce program. Anyone who's listening, subscribe to our channel because we are consistent in putting out content. We're knowledge again, and we will all be in touch soon.